It's time once again for That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ, where business becomes show business. Now, live in studio and promoting the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy, your host, Jamie Meloni.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday and welcome back to work here. And you're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Again, weekday mornings at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ. A business variety show each and every weekday mornings. I talk to different business owners, entrepreneurs, political and community leaders about what they're doing in our community to make a difference. So I invite you to please tune in each and every weekday morning and take a break from all the political news and sports talk that's on the radio just a little bit too much in the morning with a business variety show about what is going on in your community. As always, I invite you to my website, tampabayradio.com. Over there, all shows available on demand. You can even watch us here live in studio. We do stream all shows live here in each and every morning. And if you click on the watch live stream button on the homepage, you can see the people in studio. And also on the website, you'll see I sell real estate, and I specialize in the sale of bank-owned property. So it's a great website for past show information, guest information, as well as real estate in the Tampa Bay market. And also to all the home sellers out there in the community, as always, I extend a free home valuation to all of my listeners. Just click on the Sell Your Home link on the homepage, and we'll get you over a free home valuation. Typically, you get those out within 24 to 48 business hours. As always, a great show planned for you. On the second half of the show, we talk with Karen Mertes, who is turned a life-altering tragic accident into a nonprofit called Fulfill Your Destiny, and she's in studio today to talk about her new book, Plaintiff 101, which is a black book of inside information that your lawyer will want you to know. So stay tuned for that interview. It's going to be a great segment on the second half of the show. But up first, Tim Sweeney is a Florida licensed attorney and certified criminal justice addictions professional. Tim has worked exclusively in the field of addictions for the past 20 years and runs Sweeney Interventions, helping families across the country intervene upon their loved ones to engage in recovery from addiction. Tim, welcome to the program this morning.
Morning, Jamie.
So first off, talk to me a little bit more about what an intervention is.
An intervention is a process whereby a family or a group of loved ones can help someone that is suffering from addiction get into the help they need in spite of their unwillingness to do so.
All right. So how did you get into this line of business? You're an attorney. I mean, what drew you into the addiction medicines and interventions?
I got into it in large part through my own sort of struggle with alcoholism. I grew up a party kid. Through high school and college and even the law school, I partied way too much. And the one thing I was able to do during all that time was get really good grades. So that sort of held everything at bay. But when I started working and I had a pocket full of money, things sort of went off the rails for me. So I found myself in treatment, and I was sort of fascinated with the process, and it just became sort of a natural thing. And I went to work for a program initially, not as their lawyer, but just as sort of a jack of all trades. And then I started doing the lawyering work for the program and got more and more interested in the clinical end of things. I got my clinical certification, and ultimately I ended up starting what became the first lawyer-specific treatment program in the country, right here in a program in North Tampa. That's what really started leading me into doing interventions. The interventions really sort of started just naturally. My office became known as the principal's office in the program, and that's where the clinicians would, when they had a patient that was wanting to leave treatment or giving them problems, they'd bring them to me. And oftentimes it's sort of like the last gasp attempt to fix things, and I would talk the patients into staying into treatment. And that just sort of naturally evolved, and I started doing interventions on the outside and found I had a real knack for it and really enjoyed it.
Now, when I think of intervention, I think of the television program and the highly volatile atmosphere that you see in TV. And of course, TV, they got to dramatize everything to keep the viewers, watching. But talk to me, are the interventions that you do like the ones that we see on television?
Not at all. Not at all. The first thing you have to understand, and the way I walk families through this, is you have to understand what addiction is in the first place. Addiction or alcoholism, really the same thing. It's substance use disorder is what physicians call it. And it's a brain-based illness or a disease that is chronic, progressive, and fatal. Chronic meaning it never goes away on its own. Once you have it, you always have it. People that cross over the line into full-blown alcoholism or drug addiction never go into spontaneous remission. It just doesn't happen. Progressive means it always gets worse over time. Even the stereotypical drunk under the bridge wearing a trench coat and drinking out of a paper sack doesn't have the dubious luxury of saying, well, this is as bad as it's going to get. That's not true. It will always get worse until and unless the illness is put into remission. Fatal is fatal. The one thing that differentiates substance use disorder from any other disease, be it multiple sclerosis or diabetes, heart disease, is the phenomenon of denial. Addicts and alcoholics have denial. And denial doesn't necessarily mean I don't have a drinking problem. Mm-hmm. In fact, in the smarter addicts that you'll find, denial is much more clever and sophisticated in that a guy that's had 3 DUIs is not typically going to suggest that he doesn't have any kind of drinking problem. He can't sell that. Mm-hmm. Rather, in the smarter addicts and alcoholics, denial takes the form of saying, "Oh yeah, I've got a problem. I know I've got a problem, but I got control of it. I don't need your help."
I've always had a problem understanding alcoholics who drink and then they haven't drank in like 15 or 20 years, but they still refer to themselves as alcoholics. I'm like, you quit. It's like I used to smoke. I haven't smoked in 7 years. I don't say I'm a recovering smoker.
Right.
Why is it that alcoholics are still alcoholics 15, 20 years after they've given up the alcohol?
Well, I'll bet if you went and picked up a pack of cigarettes and smoked 4 or 5 of them, you'd be off to the races, though.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Okay,
but is that the problem with alcoholics?
It is. It's when I said it's a chronic illness. That's the case. The best you can hope for with recovery from alcoholism is to put it into long-term remission, and that requires total abstinence. So you have to continue doing the things you're doing, because the problem. What we believe the problem is not the drinking, the problem is the thinking. Mm-hmm. It's what goes on behind. The drinking is really a method to try to treat your alcoholism. Alcoholism, what Bill Wilson, who wrote the big book Alcoholics Anonymous, said is alcoholism is essentially restlessness, irritability, and discontentment. Mm-hmm. It's the way we think, and we drink to make ourselves feel happy, joyous, and free.
Now, you mentioned that you were an alcoholic. You've recovered from it. Now, when you walk through the stores or at parties, and you see alcohol, are you still drawn to it, or is it something that it's out of sight, out of mind? So at least seeing it doesn't, bring back the craving, so to speak.
It does. Early on, I had to be very, very careful what I did. I couldn't go. I didn't go to bars. And I still don't go to bars just to go to bars. But if I, with somebody and I want to watch a ball game that's not on regular TV, I can do that. I didn't do that at the beginning. We get back and talk a minute about how my interventions are different. Mm-hmm. So the gist of my interventions is to address this denial that is, again, part and parcel of every active alcoholic. The biggest mistake that family members and loved ones make regarding their alcohol abusing loved one is this idea that, well, he's got to want it for it to work. He's got to buy in for this to work. And that is just absolutely untrue. There's no truth to that whatsoever. And an analogy that I use to help families understand that is my young son lives in our swimming pool. And from time to time, he gets swimmer's ear infections, and we have to give him oral antibiotics. He doesn't like the taste of them. Do my wife and I take that into consideration? Of course not. He's a kid. He takes his medicine. We don't care that he doesn't like the taste. That's how you have to treat your adult addict or alcoholic. He doesn't want to go to treatment. He doesn't want to do anything to address his alcohol. We don't care that you don't want to do that. You've lost the opportunity to participate in the decision-making by virtue of your alcoholism or drug addiction. We're going to tell you what to do now. You've lost your seat at the grown-ups table for the time being. So that's how you have to approach an intervention. And you do that through the use of leverage. So that's what I think I'm particularly good at, and that's where the lawyer hat, along with the clinician's hat, helps me most, because I've got some tools in my bag from being a lawyer that most clinicians don't have. So whereas the typical intervention that you see, the stereotypical intervention on the TV program or whatever, these 3-day long odysseys, and they're, hand wringing, I call them hand wringing, teeth gnashing, letter writing, kumbaya singing, drivel. My interventions take 2 or 3 hours at most, because I cut right to the chase and we make the addict go to treatment in spite of his unwillingness to do so. The very starting point of any intervention I do with a family is he doesn't want to go. We get that. We got to make him go in spite of him not wanting to go. And then that brings to light probably the second biggest misconception is that it won't work if he doesn't want it. And that also is absolutely untrue. There's no correlation between voluntariness and successful outcomes of treatment. None. Mm-hmm. Everybody enters treatment involuntarily, by and large. There will be some exceptions, but mostly people don't wake up in the morning, look in the mirror, stretch, and say, I think I'll better myself and go to treatment. That just doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. People that hit that proverbial bottom and get sick and tired of being sick and tired, they may walk into an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, pick up a white chip, and be on their way. But the segment of the population we're talking about, they're not doing that. So they're not going to go to treatment to get well because they don't think they need to get well. Mm-hmm. Where those people go to treatment, and I don't mean even just people that get intervened on, I mean everybody that goes to treatment, by and large goes to avoid what they consider as a worse alternative. They go to treatment to save their marriage, to keep their job, to keep the money flowing, to keep on the good side of their kids. Getting well, getting into recovery is just a secondary bonus, if you will. The mark of a good treatment center is one that will take an involuntary admission and over the course of time turn them into a voluntary patient. Mm-hmm. And they do that, and that's why I use particular treatment centers that are especially good at that. They can hold on to a patient long enough and whisper the good news of recovery into their ear.
Hold that point. This is a great discussion, but I could take a break. Currently talk with Tim Sweeney, owner of Sweeney Interventions, and you're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Have you considered a reverse mortgage as part of your retirement financial plan? For homeowners age 62 or older, a reverse mortgage from Access Reverse Mortgage is a safe, economical way to turn your home's equity into cash or monthly income. Access Reverse Mortgage is a family-owned company based right here in the Tampa Bay area for the past 10 years. They are A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau and Florida's leading reverse mortgage provider. Call 727-347-0305 or go to accessreverse.com to start your research today. NMLS number 4566. That's 727-347-0305.
Are you looking for a local real estate firm that knows the market and has your interests in mind? Then contact Jim McPeak at McPeak Real Estate Firm, a family-owned business whose agents have over 60-plus years of experience in the Tampa Bay market. Many of the agents are military veterans that know the VA process for buying a home and are proud to help our military members in any way they can. From residential to commercial real estate, McPeak Real Estate Firm is here to help. Contact Jim at 813-495-3875 and learn more at McPeakTeam.com.
Help promote the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy. Tune in weekdays at 8 a.m. on 1250 WINS WHNZ to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where he promotes what is right with our community and highlights the successes of our entrepreneurs. Show contributor openings also available. You can learn more about the show and how to become part of this growing network at TampaBayRadio.com. Tune in weekdays at 8 a.m. to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Tampa Bay weather is a roof killer. That's why when getting your roof done, you want it done right. Hi, I'm Jamie Meloni of That Business Show. When considering a new roof or repair, talk to Westfall Roofing. They've been installing high-quality roofs in Tampa Bay for over 25 years. Get a free, no-obligation estimate by calling 855-99-ROOFING. That's 855-99-ROOFING. Find out what already 15,000 satisfied customers already know. Call now, 855-99-ROOFING.
Are you in need of new flooring or ready to tackle that home remodeling project? Then contact Yeager & Company Incorporated, a family-owned, state-certified general contracting business with over 70 years of experience and the recipient of the Angie's List Super Service Award for the last 8 years in multiple categories. Yeager & Company comes to you with their shop-at-home flooring sales service, and their hardwood flooring refinishing is the very best in the Bay. Kitchen and bath design featuring American-made, well-born cabinets, and all work is done by employees, not subcontractors. Learn more at YeagerFlooring.com.
From the Bright House Networks Traffic Center.
Traffic very slow on northbound 49th Street approaching the Bayside Bridge due to a crash that was in the center lane there. Also southbound US 19 very slow from Tampa Road to Curlew where there was a crash. Still big delays on eastbound side of State Road 54 approaching State Road 56 due to a crash blocking a couple lanes. Delays from Livingston Road. And one still being cleared in St. Petersburg 66th Street southbound direction near 54th Avenue North. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Utica Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by Subway.
Subway is bringing some big flavor for summer with the cool and refreshing new Fuse Half and Half Fresh Brewed Iced Tea, the perfect blend of iced tea and lemonade, plus the delicious new turkey and bacon guacamole. Only this summer and only at Subway. Subway, eat fresh.
Rain chances 30% overnight, mostly cloudy, the low around 75. 50% chance of afternoon storms, mostly cloudy tomorrow, high near 88.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Meloni.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Again, weekday mornings at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ. Learn more about the show over at TampaBayRadio.com. Currently talk with Tim Sweeney, owner of Sweeney Interventions, about the intervention process. And so, Tim, tell me, how do you conduct an intervention?
From getting the call from the family, who are referred to me either from lawyers or from other people in the community. Oftentimes it's lawyers because their loved one has gotten into trouble with the law, being a DUI or a drug possession charge or whatnot. The family calls me and we have a meeting, a fairly short meeting, and that's where we figure out and fine-tune what the leverage is going to be. What is it that we're going to bring to bear to make the addict go to treatment? And that can be any number of things. That can be the threat of divorce. That can be kicking you out of the house. That can be getting the employer involved, cutting off money, and especially with younger people that are still dependent upon their parents for their upkeep. The threat of cutting them off is typically pretty powerful. Then we all meet, and so I'll have the family arranged to meet typically early in the morning, typically at the addict's house, because you don't want to meet somewhere in public. You don't want to have the opportunity for the addict to run away, and I've had that happen. I've had them literally, run down the street to get away. So you want to have them in a place where they're likely going to be in a controlled setting, and then we present the problem and the proposed solution. The solution is almost always going into a residential treatment program for a period of time. When the problem gets serious enough that somebody like me gets involved, outpatient treatment, AA, things like that are not sufficient at first. They're going to need a stay in a place where they can get detoxed and they can get a foundation of recovery under their belt. The thing I can bring to bear that's different than about any other interventionist I know is, again, because I'm a lawyer, sometimes all of those other typical forms of leverage won't work. If you don't go to treatment, I'm going to divorce you. Well, the heck with you. I don't love you anymore anyways. Mm-hmm. Well, if you don't go to treatment, the kids won't talk to you. Those kids never did anything for me. If you don't go to treatment, we're going to tell your boss. I hate that job. So all those other classic forms of leverage don't work. What I always have in my back pocket is the Marchman Act, which is the civil commitment.
Yeah, what
process.
is the Marchman Act?
Marchman Act is the civil commitment process in Florida law that allows families or three unrelated adults to force someone with a substance use disorder to go into treatment.
Is that the Baker Act?
It's like the Baker Act. It was sort of fashioned. The Baker Act is the, where you cut your wrist or you threaten suicide and the men in the white van come and take you away for 3 days. Mm-hmm. It's a psychiatric hold. The Marchman Act was sort of fashioned after that, but it's for much longer. You can Marchman Act somebody first off for up to 60 days, and then for consecutive 90-day periods. So you can have people under the Marchman Act for a long time, and it's for drug and alcohol. So I always have that in my back pocket when everything else fails, or if everything else fails, I have sort of a punchline essentially that takes the form of, look, Johnny, you're going to treatment and you're going today.
And they can't check themselves out under the Marchman Act?
That's correct. They run the risk of contempt of court. So what I say is you're going to treatment today. The only question is whether you're going the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is you can maintain a modicum of dignity and respect. You can pack a bag and hop in my car and we'll go to a nice treatment center. The hard way is I'm going to file this, your family's going to file this Marchman Act, and you're going to go to treatment in the back of a squad car. Pick. And they always pick the first.
How much prep work is there on your end when somebody approaches you and says, yeah, we have a problem with Johnny, we need some help? How much prep work is there with the family before you meet with the person?
Not that much with the family because it's not that complicated. And again, the 3-day-long things you'll see on the TV programs, I think that's really an invention for TV. It just doesn't take that long to get people, and people are always stunned at how quickly and how effectively my interventions work. I can't tell you how many times you're like, well, this is never going to work. He's never going to agree to go. You've never run into anybody like Johnny before. And I'm like, okay, all right. And 2 hours later, Johnny's in the car with me going to treatment. So the letter writing, I'm not a fan of letter writing. I became that way after doing an intervention where the family insisted on writing letters on a lawyer that I was intervening on up in Philadelphia. And the lawyer fell asleep while his daughter was reading her heartfelt letter, her tearful letter. Literally fell asleep. So I'm not a fan of letter writing. I'm much more a fan of being very in the moment and genuine.
How would you characterize your success rates with interventions?
Well, my interventions almost always work.
Okay, it's definitely a viable viable solution for addictions out there, these interventions.
Yeah, they always work. I've had probably of the 200-plus interventions, maybe 5 that didn't result in...
Did you mention somebody who ran down the street? Did you catch him?
That was one of the 5.
You caught him and brought him back, or he got away?
No, but I have had that happen. I have had, pretty much high-speed chases through the city of Columbus, Ohio, to catch one fellow that I intervened on. He was, the family had it worked out that I was going to meet him in court for his criminal court charge, and we got the judge involved too beforehand, so it was all set up. He came into court to face, his charges, and I was standing in court off to the side of the judge, and the judge tells this young man, he's like, I won't put you in jail, but you're going to treatment. And he said, fine, Judge, absolutely, thinking this was going to be sometime off in the future. And she turns to me and says, and you're going to treatment with him now. Right. And he's like, gulp. And so he court finishes, he walks out of the courtroom and runs to his car and takes off.
Yeah.
I run to my rental car. I take off after him. I'm chasing him down. He finally stops, agrees to go to treatment if his father will go buy him heroin one more time.
Oh, well, you had a little negotiation there.
Yeah, and the father did that, and he ended up coming to treatment back down to Tampa with me, and that was several years ago, and the guy is sober today.
Wow. Yeah. Got about a minute left. For the audience, when is an intervention, needed? When would you say that family needs to look at an intervention?
When someone is classically out of control, and you'll see that when repeated promises are broken, when work is suffering or is gone by the wayside with younger people, when college has turned into a disaster, when it happens. It's just the family has their own denial process that they have to get through. But your gut will always tell you that this has become a problem that we can't deal with.
No, great discussion, Tim. Thank you very much for being in studio today.
Thanks, Jamie.
Yep, Tim Sweeney, owner of Sweeney Interventions. You can reach out to him, timsweeney825@gmail.com, and you can get catch his information up on our recap after the show. You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Visit broadvoice.com and click on the silver microphone. Then type in the code IHEART to save. That's broadvoice.com.
From the Bright House Networks Traffic Center.
Had a crash in the northbound direction on 49th Street just before you get onto the Bayside Bridge. Traffic slow from Roosevelt. Also southbound US 19 at Miles Stretch. There was a crash. Also one at southbound US 19 at Curlew. Still some big delays on eastbound State Road 54 approaching State Road 56. Northbound 275 off the Howard Franklin Bridge, still a bit slow. And the eastbound side of the Courtney Kimball Causeway, you're going to find some delays from the Big Bridge to Rocky Point. See traffic problems, call the entry firm of Abrahamson and Eudora Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by Subway. Subway is bringing some big flavor for summer with the cool and refreshing new Fuse Half and Half Fresh Brewed Iced Tea. The perfect blend of iced tea and lemonade, plus the delicious new turkey and bacon guacamole. Only this summer and only at Subway. Subway, eat fresh.
1250 winds, weather center forecast, mix of sun and clouds today. See a 40% chance of scattered showers and storms. And today's high in the upper 80s, low 90s. Less mild overnights continue with the low into the mid-70s. Impact Radio, 1250 winds, WHNZ.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 winds, WHNZ. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Meloni.
Welcome back to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Again, weekday mornings at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ, a business variety shows. I talk to different business owners, entrepreneurs, political and community leaders each and every morning about what they are doing to make a difference in the Tampa Bay region. As always, the show is always looking for guests and show partners. So if you have any interest in coming on to the show, there is no charge to come in here as a guest. So please don't let that stop you from contacting me. But head over to TampaBayRadio.com and click on the contact form. Send me a message and let me know what it is that you're doing in the community, or a little bit about your business and why you'd like to make an appearance on the show. And we can talk about having you come in here. And just so much fun being able to do this each and every morning, and a lot of people that are associated with the show sharing a lot of business back and forth between each other. And so it's a great network to become a part of. Again, TampaBayRadio.com. Click on the contact form and just send me a message. Time to bring in my next guest for the show. Karen Mertes is a retired lieutenant colonel from the United States Air Force who turned a life-altering tragedy into a life purpose with her organization, Fulfill Your Destiny, and is the author of Plaintiff 101, the Black Book of Inside Information your lawyer will want you to know. Karen, welcome to the program today.
Thank you. Good morning, Jamie. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, Karen, first off, share with the audience your story, the tragic event that occurred to you. I think it was back in 2007, was it?
That's right.
The car accident. Talk to the audience about this.
It was February 7th of 2007 when I was driving on the interstate when at 7:20 p.m. I was struck by a very drunk driver traveling literally over 100 miles per hour. And he was .221 drunk at the time. And he hit me from behind, broke my axle, shoved it into my transmission, so I didn't have any steering or brakes. And then my car slid the equivalent of 3 football field lengths before ever coming to a stop. And it was during that time that I was praying, and I promised that if I were fortunate enough to survive, I'd spend the rest of my life helping other people.
Okay, and so that was the catalyst then for Fulfill Your Destiny, correct?
Yes. I didn't know it at that moment, but that's exactly right. And
now, did you walk away from the accident still coherent and able to function? And what happened immediately after the accident to you?
You know, during the crash, because it was lengthy, the actual impact and then the sliding the 3 football field lengths, my brain actually cracked and bled inside my skull. It's due to the force, the 100-mile-per-hour impact.
Right.
The brain is soft, and it hit the skull a few times, back and forth, and that's what caused the bleeding.
But you didn't know that immediately, right? Did you get out from the accident and think, "Oh wow, I'm lucky to be alive," and then these condition came along after you got to the doctor?
I had a horrific headache, and I had trouble retrieving my driver's license and proof of insurance for the state trooper. He had to ask me 5 times, and I just had trouble remembering, where that stuff was, and horrible neck pain and things like that. But it's not something that I knew at the scene, like, oh my gosh, I think I have a head injury. I was truly very grateful to have survived. And, I looked around when my car finally came to a stop, and I didn't see any blood or protruding bones, because I stopped still in an active lane of traffic. And then I had a decision to make, because I didn't want a follow-on impact. I didn't want anybody else to be injured. And so I thought, okay, if I go to the left, it's 2 lanes, and then it's the center. If I go to the right, it's 1 lane and the shoulder. And I thought that would be my best chance of survival. And just as I had my hand on the door to open it, I saw these 2 larger headlights in my rearview mirror that were coming upon me. And then I froze, because it was a split second. And thankfully, that particular driver, it was a truck driver, a local type of truck driver, he stopped and saw me, and then called the police and the paramedics, and he sheltered my vehicle, put out cones to...
And you were in the Army at that time. You were a lieutenant colonel at that time?
Serving in our United States Air Force.
Okay, and the accident then had to leave to your discharge, am I correct?
No, I retired.
You retired?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, I did retire. I was struck at the 18-year point, and I'm very thankful to our United States Air Force that allowed me to continue serving up until 20 years and retired honorably from our service.
Okay, and so now you launched Fulfill Your Destiny. So talk to me about the mission of Fulfill Your Destiny.
What Fulfill Your Destiny does is it helps people in our greater Tampa Bay area whose careers have been impacted due to injury or some other unforeseen circumstance. And it's a nice broad mission allowing me to help lots and lots of people and other organizations in our Tampa Bay community as well. And I have a target focus of helping those that have sustained a traumatic brain injury to honor that particular injury.
Now, you don't take a salary for this either, right? All the funds from this go to helping victims in the community through this organization, correct?
That's right. No, I don't take a salary, and I pay the administrative costs out of my personal funds, and I donate an additional 10% in honor of each donor, and then give 110% away in our greater Tampa Bay community.
No, it's just great that you took, a tragic event and turned it into such a meaningful organization, which you have with Fulfill Your Destiny. Now, you've also written a book now, Plaintiff 101, the Black Book of Inside Information Your Lawyer Will Want You to Know. So talk to me first of all about this book. When is the book been released yet, and what's it about?
I'm thrilled to share with you, Jamie, and the listening audience today that Plaintiff 101 launches exactly 1 week from today, Tuesday, the 15th of September at 9 a.m. on Amazon. We're doing a big Amazon bestseller campaign, hoping to achieve that status. And so I respectfully request that all of your listeners go out and purchase our book that day. To thank them and all of you in advance, we're giving a 40% discount on that day and that day only. And all the proceeds benefit charity in our local community.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about what this book answers, and what are some of the questions? Is this for people that are just affected by car accidents, or is it affected anybody that's in any type of situation where they're a victim of due to the fault of another? Talk to me about what the core of this book is about.
Right. It really addresses both of those. And how the book came about is I'm a professional speaker and have had the luxury of getting to tell my story to a number of audiences, and people have always been asking me to write a book. And I said, I think it really would be a better book and help many, many more people if I write it together with my husband, who's been a plaintiff's attorney for over 20 years. He has a wealth of experience, and he also did jury consulting for the defense side. So he really has a wealth of knowledge from both the plaintiff and the defense perspectives that he brings in, and he's been part of trial teams that have garnered $1 million verdicts and settlements. And so what we did is we got together and we wrote this book that explains the whole litigation process from before someone is actually ever injured, so what to do at the scene of a crash, on through the entire litigation process through settlement or trial.
Yeah, your tagline is, information that your lawyer will want you to know. So talk to me about what your lawyer will want you to know, starting with at the scene of the crash. If you're injured, they're going to say take photos, I'm assuming, but what else do they want you to know at the time of the incident?
Well, in my particular case, the state trooper didn't get the name and the information of that truck driver that stopped behind me. And so our lawyer would want us to, either us personally or if we're with somebody, to make sure we get the names, the addresses, the license plate numbers of any witnesses at the scene.
Did you ever come back and find the truck driver that helped you after the accident?
There were 911 recordings of him calling in, and so he was able to be tracked down, that way. But that was, fortunate that happened, because since it was such a big crash, if you will, my undercarriage had dropped onto the road, if you will, and I was dragging it, and it was creating sparks. And so it was very visible, and it prompted a number of other motorists to call 911.
Okay, so he stuck around then, made the calls, but then he took off, but nobody got his information, so he's a key witness to the event,
That's
right?
right, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What are some other key information that people need to be aware of then at the time of the accident? Photos, obviously, a big component of that, but if you're injured, though, what can people do when they're injured and they're incoherent, for instance?
Right, then it's a lot tougher if you're not conscious. Then obviously you have to be taken in and get medical treatment. But not too far along the process, you'll be asked to give a recorded statement for your insurance company. And you'll want to have secured a lawyer first. You don't ever want to give a recorded statement without having a lawyer present. And one of the things that they'll do is they'll ask you to be very specific. For me, the number of feet, as an example, that I slid. Well, unless I knew that to 100% accuracy, which I don't without having an accident reconstructionist figure that out later, we don't want to answer it exactly specifically like that. If it was a blink of an eye, we say a blink of an eye, a split second. Football field lengths is
Should you
appropriate.
wait until you've hired an attorney before you give the recorded statement?
Yes. You always, the first thing with any accident and really many situations in life, the very first thing you should do is ask for a lawyer, ask for an attorney.
Never give a statement until you've had counsel that is acting on your behalf. That's definitely a key component of any situation where you're involved in something of a legal matter. So definitely a key component there. What should people look for when hiring an attorney then in the field of accidents and things like you were affected by?
We actually have 50 takeaways and checklist items in Plaintiff 101. And that is one of them in particular. And we teach people the types of questions to ask when hiring an attorney and what to look for. But, as a general rule, you want to look for attorneys that have expertise in your particular injury. You also want to look for attorneys that have an excellent trial record. And because you want an attorney that has gone to trial and is not afraid to go to trial. And there are some that prefer not to. And so you have a bigger advocate in that attorney, and then the defense attorneys will view him as a bigger threat, him or her as a bigger threat.
Now, did you feel that you learned a lot throughout the process? Had you had this book before the accident? How would it have helped your case come to the trial?
Oh, it would have helped me immensely, because I'm fortunate enough to be married to my husband, Michael Harvey, with his wealth of experience. And it was so great having him to talk to have him explain some of the different issues and terms that I was working through with my own attorney, and just giving me insight into the whole process, what would come next, why I needed to spend so much time filling out interrogatories, it's called, and what they're used for. I just had all this insight into the process that I don't think other people get to have. And I thought, this is a way we can really help. There's over 2 million people that are injured every year in auto accidents. And there's over 5 million auto accidents where there aren't injuries, but there still may be a need for attorney as well. And so there are so many people that would benefit from the information.
What about all these doctor and lawyer referral services we hear out here these days? 1-800-ASK-GARY, Ask Tom, Ask Dick, Tom, Dick, or Harry, whoever it is. Do you address those at all in your book? Because that's a big business out there right now with auto accidents and these referral networks. What's your opinion on those right there?
Well, I go back to people really ought to select an attorney and a firm based on the type of injury that they sustained and on that firm's reputation and on their ability to go to trial. If you anticipate that it's going to be a big case, does that firm have the resources to expend the costs in advance to put on the case? What's their caseload? There's a lot of factors that we talk about in the book. Mm-hmm. And it's a partnership. It's so critical to hire the right attorney for your particular issue and go forward.
Got to take a quick break, but I'm currently talking with Karen Mertes, author of Plaintiff 101, the Black Book of Inside Information Your Lawyer Will Want You to Know, and it's going to be available on Amazon on September 15th at 9 a.m., so be sure to pick up that book. Some great information in there about what you need to know if you're involved in an accident. So we're currently talking with Karen about that, and coming back from the break, we'll talk a little bit more about what's inside this book, and you're currently listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Have you considered a reverse mortgage as part of your retirement financial plan? For homeowners age 62 or older, a reverse mortgage from Access Reverse Mortgage is a safe, economical way to turn your home's equity into cash or monthly income. Access Reverse Mortgage is a family-owned company based right here in the Tampa Bay area for the past 10 years. They are A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau and Florida's leading reverse mortgage provider. Call 727-347-0305 or go to accessreverse.com to start your research today. NMLS number 4566. That's 727-347-0305.
Are you looking for a local real estate firm that knows the market and has your interests in mind? Then contact Jim McPeak at McPeak Real Estate Firm, a family-owned business whose agents have over 60-plus years of experience in the Tampa Bay market. Many of the agents are military veterans that know the VA process for buying a home and are proud to help our military members in any way they can. From residential to commercial real estate, McPeak Real Estate Firm is here to help. Contact Jim at 813-495-3875 and learn more at McPeakTeam.com.
Help promote the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy. Tune in weekdays at 8 a.m. on 1250 WINS WHNZ to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where he promotes what is right with our community and highlights the successes of our entrepreneurs. Show contributor openings also available. You can learn more about the show and how to become part of this growing network at TampaBayRadio.com. Tune in weekdays at 8 a.m. to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Tampa Bay weather is a roof killer. That's why when getting your roof done, you want it done right. Hi, I'm Jamie Meloni of That Business Show. When considering a new roof or repair, talk to Westfall Roofing. They've been installing high-quality roofs in Tampa Bay for over 25 years. Get a free, no-obligation estimate by calling 855-99-ROOFING. That's 855-99-ROOFING. Find out what already 15,000 satisfied customers already know. Call now, 855-99-ROOFING.
Are you in need of new flooring or ready to tackle that home remodeling project? Then contact Yeager & Company Incorporated, a family-owned, state-certified general contracting business with over 70 years of experience and the recipient of the Angie's List Super Service Award for the last 8 years in multiple categories. Yeager & Company comes to you with their shop-at-home flooring sales service, and their hardwood flooring refinishing is the very best in the Bay. Kitchen and bath design featuring American-made, well-born cabinets, and all work is done by employees, not subcontractors. Learn more at YeagerFlooring.com.
From the Bright House Networks Traffic Center.
Crash on southbound US 19 and Holiday at Bonita Road. Also southbound US 19 near Curlew. That one being cleared. Northbound side of the Bayside Bridge, it's very slow from Almerton to the bridge. due to a crash that was blocking a right lane there, but it has now been moved off to the side. Once you get on the bridge, you're good to go up towards Gulf to Bay. Also a crash along State Road 54 eastbound direction near 56 now cleared, and southbound Veterans still very slow from Gun Highway to Waters. See traffic problems, call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Eudora Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line, 866-545-9595.
Rain chances 30% overnight, mostly cloudy, the low around 75. 50% chance of afternoon storms, mostly cloudy tomorrow, high near 88.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Meloni.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Again, weekday mornings at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ. And as always, learn more about the show at TampaBayRadio.com. Currently talk with Karen Mertes, author of Plaintiff 101, the Black Book of Inside Information Your Lawyer Will Want You to Know. So, Karen, tell me how this book can benefit other people that are involved in the accident process, such as the defense and the prosecuting attorneys.
Absolutely. Well, we say that we think that this book will be so valuable to all plaintiffs' attorneys because it's going to save them so much time. Time is just the most valuable resource that attorneys have, and they will no longer have to expend as much of it explaining all the terms and the process of what their clients will be facing because of our book. And the way that we wrote it, the takeaways are actually almost three-dimensional. They pop off the page. And then there's a notes and questions from my attorney at the back of every chapter. And so they can give these to all of their clients, let the clients read it, make some notes, and then the attorney will answer all the client's questions in really a relatively short amount of time. And he or she will be able to focus on then the needs of that particular client, the case, and all the preparation involved in that.
Now, you say this book is also groundbreaking in the sense that there's really not a lot or nothing else on the market that is like this book. Your book is written both by an attorney, your husband, and also by a victim yourself. So it's got, both sides of the coin there, in this book. So talk to me about how this book is, revolutionary in this market.
Yes, we researched it extensively before we wrote it, and we really wanted it to be a resource and a handbook and very, very valuable to the public as a whole, as well as plaintiffs' attorneys and defense attorneys, and I'll get to that too. So the fact that it's written jointly from an attorney and a plaintiff, that has not yet been done. And the fact that it goes deep within a personal injury litigation, and also from my husband being an attorney, he's never been deep inside it with a plaintiff because he's never been married to a plaintiff before.
Right.
So we are able to convey so much valuable information that is seldomly brought forward all on one book or one umbrella, if you will.
How does it help the defense attorneys then? Obviously, you were on the plaintiff's side, but you also wrote it from both sides of the coin, I should say.
Right. Pardon me.
Go ahead.
The fact that my husband had both plaintiff and defense experience makes his viewpoints very grounded and very objective. And we like to say that this is going to be the plaintiff's handbook. And so wouldn't defense attorneys then, since they're our opponents in a court of law, wouldn't they want to know what the plaintiff's attorneys and the plaintiffs themselves know? It's kind of, using sports analogies, we always try to learn as much about our opponents in advance as possible. And so that's why we say defense attorneys will want to see what's in here as well.
What other service providers can also benefit from this book? Obviously, there's a lot of people involved in an accident scenario. So who else can benefit from this book?
Yes, one of the professions we think are chiropractors and massage therapists, acupuncturists, really any practitioner that has gotten the question, I've been in an accident, what do I do now? And so, I think about chiropractors, and so they'll have this book as a resource. And a lot of attorneys will partner with these various practitioners, purchase the books to have in the offices of their chiropractors, and then they'll be able to form those relationships and referrals, that way.
Now, how long was your recovery process after the accident? Again, going back to 2007, did you go to the different chiropractors and doctors, and are you still recovering today? Talk to me about your recovery from the accident since it occurred.
I sustained a traumatic brain injury, which is a permanent injury, and so it's something that I treat even to this day. And yes, over the years, chiropractors have been part of my treatment team, if you will. And with a brain injury, and half of brain injuries are sustained in motor vehicle collisions. So that was a very common way in which I sustained mine. And so I've been very fortunate to have such a wonderful team of massage therapists and chiropractors that, in addition to others.
I was going to ask, how do you treat a traumatic brain injury? I mean, what treatments are out there? Medications that you have to take? Is there any therapies that you have to go through as a result of that? Tell me about, the treatment for such an occurrence.
Yes, well, it's all dependent on the type of brain injury one sustains, both the severity, mild to severe, which lobe or lobes are impacted, therefore what are the deficits that occurred. For me, it was at an executive functioning level. So I was a CFO of a $169 million operation, and I had an advanced statistics background. And so that was, impacted. And if you meet me and talk to me on a daily basis, you don't see it as much. Mm-hmm. My personality was impacted, as well as was my memory. So it really varies depending on the needs of the particular affected and injured person. What's rare or hard to sometimes understand is that the person that's injured doesn't always detect the changes in him or herself. And so it's our loved ones that do notice them and have to actually work with us as a partnership to get us the help we need. And that's the case for me. It was my husband that pointed out these changes and that perhaps we need to see a neurologist. And I did, and that's how mine was diagnosed, and I got the help.
And you pulled through it in such a fabulous manner. I mean, you launched a Fulfill Your Destiny as a result of this. I mean, there's just a great organization that benefits people, and you're not even taking a salary for that. Talk to me about some of the ways that your organization, Fulfill Your Destiny, has helped others since your accident.
Well, I invite the listeners to go out to fulfillyourdestiny.org and view the Who We've Helped tab. Mm-hmm. I put a lot of the very nice stories out there of incredible people that have been helped in our community, as well as the organizations. But, money has ranged from helping a foster youth get a car. When she was aging out of foster care, I was able to partner with another organization here in town, Wheels of Success, to make that happen. I was able to work with a very generous donor in the community. Together, we were able to assist in saving a woman's sight. There's been brain-injured people that have received monies for scholarship. The list just goes on and on and on. So
yeah, I know I've talked with you before about the different events that your organization does and the different people it helps in, but we got to wrap up this interview as I'm hitting the top of the hour break. But Karen Mertes, fulfillyourdestiny.org is her website, and then her book is going to be released on September 15th, correct, on Amazon?
Yes.
All right,
yes.
So check that out. What was the name again?
Plaintiff 101.
Plaintiff 101, the little black book of information your attorney will want you to know. So again, September 15th on Amazon. Please check that out and help support Karen and also her organization, fulfillyourdestiny.org. Also, thank you to Tim Sweeney, who was on the first segment of the show. Learn more about him at SweeneyInterventions.com, and you can reach out to him, timsweeney825@gmail.com. I'll see you all back in here tomorrow morning for Working Women Wednesdays on That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.